Section 1. The secret relief in Japan's streets. We all know the stereotype of the nightmare tourist. Loud voices, zero respect for rules, and pushing through. Beautiful, quiet crowds. Yes, we are talking about the global wave of mass Chinese tourism. For years, this exact chaos was slowly destroying the peace of Japan. Historic shrines were trashed, and polite locals were left feeling completely helpless. But then, Beijing tried to play a dangerous political game. To punish Japan, they suddenly ordered a massive travel boycott. They canceled half of the flights, expecting Tokyo's economy to collapse. But guess what? The plan failed spectacularly. Instead of crying over lost cash, Japan was secretly shouting with joy. Think about your own favorite vacation spots for a moment. Have you ever seen your favorite city ruined by thousands of rude travelers? Would you gladly lose the tourism money just to get your peace and quiet back? Let's look at how China's biggest economic weapon backfired, and why. Japan is celebrating today. Section 2. The backstory. The nightmare of unchecked over-tourism. To understand Japan's current relief, we must look at the dark past. Before the massive boycott, Japanese cities were pushed to their absolute limits. The famous phenomenon was called bakugai, which literally means explosive buying. Huge tour buses blocked narrow streets in historic towns every single day. Thousands of aggressive shoppers flooded into quiet pharmacies and luxury stores. They bought entire shelves of products, leaving nothing for the local residents. But the biggest issue was not the shopping. It was the total lack of respect for Japan's ancient culture. Tourists were seen chasing beautiful geishas in Kyoto just to take photos. They climbed delicate cherry blossom trees. Breaking branches for a selfish selfie, trash was thrown everywhere and quiet. Residential areas became noisy, chaotic open markets. Local grandmothers were too afraid to step outside of their own homes. Japanese people are incredibly polite, so they suffered in silence for years. They tolerated the chaos only because the businesses needed the foreign money. It was a nightmare situation, and the country was desperately praying for a change. Section 3. The catalyst. How Beijing tried to weaponize travel. Then the political storm arrived. Japanese politicians made strong statements defending the self-governed island of Taiwan. This move made Beijing absolutely furious. The Chinese government decided it was time to punish Tokyo severely, and they chose to use their favorite economic weapon, mass tourism. Beijing immediately ordered its citizens to stop visiting Japan. They canceled over 2,600 flights between China and Japan in a single month. That was a massive 50% drop in air travel. Chinese state media smiled, expecting Japan's tourism industry to completely collapse. They assumed Tokyo would beg for mercy once the Chinese money disappeared. After all, China had successfully used this bullying tactic before. They used it against South Korea in 2017 and against Japan in 2012. Beijing genuinely believed they held all the power over Tokyo's economy. They thought the empty streets of Tokyo would force Japan to change its foreign policy. It was a high-stakes move, but China made one giant, arrogant mistake. They completely underestimated Japan's true global appeal. Section 4. Quality over quantity. Records shattered without the chaos. So what happened when the mass tour buses vanished? Japan's monthly visitors actually hit an all-time high of over 3.6 million. The streets are still packed, but the overall vibe has completely changed. By losing the loud group tours, Japan opened its doors to a much better market. And here is a very interesting fact you should know. Not all Chinese tourists are the same. While the cheap, noisy group tours have disappeared, wealthy Chinese individuals are still coming. These high-end travelers travel independently, respect Japanese customs, and spend heavily on luxury experiences. They love authentic Japanese culture and are highly welcomed by local business owners. Japan is successfully shifting from low-cost, mass tourism to high-value quality tourism. They traded millions of rowdy, rule-breaking sightseers for respectful travelers from all over the globe. As a result, tourist spending in Japan has actually increased to a staggering 2.34 trillion yen. Tokyo proved that you do not need chaos to make an incredible profit. Section 5. Meet the new travel kings. How Taiwan outspent a superpower. Beijing never expected this. The biggest surprise of 2026 came from a much smaller neighbor. Taiwan, a self-governed island of just 23 million people, stepped up in a massive way. In the first quarter of this year, Taiwanese tourists became the #1 spenders in Japan. They spent a whopping 388 billion yen, accounting for over 16% of the total revenue. That is far more than what the entire nation of China brought in. Taiwanese travelers love Japan, they respect the local culture, and they spend money generously. Right behind them was South Korea, bringing in nearly 800,000 polite visitors in March alone. South Korean tourists spent another 318 billion yen, filling the empty gaps instantly. These two nearby democracies completely saved Japan's tourism economy. They showed the world that a country does not need China to achieve economic success. By welcoming respectful neighbors, Japan earned more money, while keeping its peace and quiet. The Japanese transport minister even laughed off the Chinese boycott. He officially stated that the drop in Chinese tourists was absolutely nothing to worry about. Section 6. The Western influx, shifting the vibe from mass tours to cultural admiration. But the change did not stop in Asia. A massive wave of Western travelers is also reshaping Japan's tourism. Thanks to the weak yen, visitors from the US, Europe, and Mexico are breaking records. In March, German tourism jumped by 22%, and Mexican visitors grew by a stunning 70%. Unlike the old mass tours, these Western travelers come with a very different attitude. They do not come to buy out whole grocery stores or shout in groups. Instead, they want to experience the deep, quiet soul of traditional Japan. They stay in old rural villages, eat local food, and deeply admire the peaceful scenery. This incredible shift has brought a wonderful energy to the country. Locals are thrilled to share their traditions with people who truly respect them. This brings us to a big cultural question for all of you. When you travel to another country, what is your main goal? Do you prefer to party loudly and recreate your home culture abroad? Or do you prefer to stay quiet and blend in with the local people? Please share your thoughts in the comments below. We want to see how different cultures view the perfect vacation. Section 7. The double-edged sword. The economic boomerang, hitting China. While Japan is busy celebrating, a dark reality is hitting China. The tourism boycott has turned into a painful economic boomerang. Beijing tried to hurt Tokyo, but they ended up hurting their own innocent citizens. For example, consider the hard-working cabbage farmers in China's Shandong province. Japan was always the biggest and most reliable customer for their crops. But when Beijing manufactured intense anti-Japan anger, the trade stopped completely. Suddenly, the farmers could not sell their huge cabbage harvests to Japan. The local market price crashed so badly that harvesting became too expensive. With no other options left, farmers had to give their crops away for free. The poor farmers are now bearing the heavy cost of their government's political games. The exact same economic disaster is happening in China's tourism industry. Because of rising safety fears, Japanese tourists have stopped visiting China completely. Tour groups to major cities like Shanghai have dropped by a massive 70%. As a result, professional Japanese-speaking tour guides in China are losing everything. Many veteran guides now have zero income and face sudden harsh unemployment. Beijing wanted to show its economic muscle, but they only broke their own people's pockets. Section 8. The Shadow Games. Beijing's infiltration unveiled. But this story goes much deeper than rude vacation manners. Japan has recently discovered a far more dangerous threat, hiding behind the tourist crowds. Intelligence experts reveal that some of these visitors were not genuine travelers at all. Instead, they were secret operatives, working directly for the Chinese Communist Party. Beijing has been using casual travel as a clever cover for massive underground espionage. Their vast network has allegedly targeted highly sensitive locations all across the Japanese islands. For instance, Chinese female operatives have successfully infiltrated areas right around critical Japanese military bases. They often marry Japanese self-defense personnel to gather secret intelligence from the inside. In fact, 70% of foreign wives in the military are now from China. Even top-level Japanese politicians have been caught up in these dangerous hidden traps. One prominent senator was recently involved with a suspected Chinese undercover police officer. She even received a special pass to freely enter the Japanese parliament building. This aggressive infiltration has deeply shocked the quiet public of Japan. They finally realized that their welcoming open society was being completely weaponized against them. Section 9. The Counterattack. Japan's historic intelligence revolution. Japan has finally decided that enough is enough. For a very long time, the country had no strong counter-espionage laws. When foreign spies were caught, they were simply sent back home with no real punishment. But the Japanese public became deeply furious about this weak system. In a massive recent poll, 61% of citizens demanded immediate anti-spy laws. The government listened to the angry voices of its people. The Japanese parliament officially passed a historic law to completely rebuild their intelligence system. They are creating a powerful new unified national intelligence agency. This agency will act like a Japanese version of the American CIA. It will actively hunt down foreign spies, stop cyber attacks, and protect state secrets. The new agency will even monitor space using high-tech intelligence satellites. Foreign organizations linked to Beijing will now face much stricter laws and constant surveillance. Tokyo is sending a very clear and powerful message to the entire world. Japan is no longer a helpless target for foreign interference. They are fiercely protecting their beautiful nation, and the days of easy spying are officially over. Section 10. Conclusion. A happier, brighter future for Japan. So, is Japan's tourism industry doomed without China? The clear and resounding answer is absolutely not. By trying to punish Tokyo, Beijing accidentally gave Japan the greatest gift ever. They removed the chaotic nightmare of low-cost mass tourism from the country. In return, Japan unlocked a much better, highly profitable, and respectful global market. Today, beautiful historic towns are filled with high-spending travelers from Taiwan, Korea, and the West. The streets are clean, local custom is respected, and the atmosphere is wonderfully peaceful again. At the same time, this crisis forced Japan to finally wake up to national security threats. The birth of their new CIA-style agency ensures a safer future for generations to come. Tokyo successfully proved that a free democracy can survive and thrive without relying on a bully. They stood up for their values, protected their culture, and broke all-time economic records. The lesson here is beautiful and simple. True prosperity comes from quality, respect, and diversity, not from massive, rule-breaking crowds. Japan is happily moving forward into a brighter era, and they are never looking back. So we just have one last thing to say. Thank you, China, for leaving us alone. And bye-bye.